Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so almost at the train station. Figured I'd throw in a video right now. First of all, the NBA is showing me a lot right now. From what I understand, the Minnesota Timberwolves handled the Clippers rather easily, and Zubac is back. I didn't think Zubac would be back as soon as he is, but in listening to a podcast talk about it, that particular game, it told me that the Minnesota Timberwolves match up very well with the LA Clippers. That is important to me because that is not one but two teams that I think match up very well with the LA Clippers. The Minnesota Timberwolves, if what it was described is true, and the LA Lakers, of whom I told y'all when we saw them that third time, when both teams were fully healthy and we were able to take care of them with our length, albeit with Vanderbilt playing a significant role for which I don't think he'll be back this season. At least not before the playoffs, if at all. We look pretty good against them, man. So, I don't know, man. The Clippers, they need to follow a very specific path, in my opinion, as it pertains to avoiding certain teams in order to get their championship glory. I don't know that they can't do that because there are a lot of teams that they're going to run past with their abilities and with their talent. But because they're so small forward, power forward, wing base, there are certain teams that have those type of defenders and that big man in the middle that can swat everything, that can put them in a strong position to be behind the 8 ball. And you can't get some of those shots off you can get off against most teams, against the Lakers with AD and all our wings, Bron, and then the Timberwolves with Gobert, McDaniels, Edwards, and the guys that they got. So that's what I'm saying to you. I just think the Clippers, I think they're good enough to win the entire West. I don't know once they get to the East if they're going to be able to overcome the Celtics, if that's who's there. But aside from that, from where I'm sitting, Clippers got the best chance to win a championship in their history right now. If it's going to be any year, this is probably it. If you ask me, their final year in Crypto.com/Staples Center. I think if they got a chance to win the championship at all, now, I don't mean I'm picking them to win it, but it does mean that this is about as good a chance as I'm ever going to give them, probably. Because they really do have one in teams. But as I said before, I don't trust Zubac. And I like Zubac. Hey, Zubac is our guy. That's a Laker guy. We shouldn't have traded him. And if it were up to me, he'd still be a Laker. But he wouldn't necessarily be the guy that I'm relying upon to help me win a championship if the rest of my pieces are super pieces. He can do a lot of good things, double things, block some shots here and there. But he's not particularly tough. He's not particularly tough. And he's not particularly durable. And he's not particularly athletic. And when you're going up against AD, you're going up against the Twin Towers in Minnesota. You're going up against Giannis. You're going up against now what they have in Celtic land with a few of the centers that they have. They have multiple centers they're throwing at you. If the Clippers can only throw out there Zubac and Daniel Theis, that's where their Achilles heel is likely going to be, in my humble opinion. Everything else they got under control. But they cannot necessarily get away with those centers. Not against everybody. So that's what comes to mind for me. The other thing I'm thinking about, just in general, is the Detroit Pistons. Now, I know it's a far cry from a championship or playoff potential. I'm not saying they got any playoff potential. They do not. They can win all their games for the rest of the year and probably still not make the playoffs. So that's not what we're talking about. They started off the season the worst team of all time. This is why they're intriguing to me. They made some good moves, and they got back Jalen Duren, who wasn't a part of all that damn losing. Most of it anyway, he wasn't a part of. He is playing some tremendous basketball right now. He had a game where he had like 26 or 27 rebounds, 2020 game. He had, 17 boards in the last one, 15 before that. I expect for him to rebound in a crazy way over my Lakers tonight, probably over 12 boards tonight for sure. And then you look at Jaden Ivey and the way that he's balling lately, averaging 60% from behind the arc. And they've been the second most efficient three-point shooting basketball team since the trade deadline, which is only a handful of games, but they've brought in three-point reinforcements, and you could clearly see the drastic change in their offense. So when you can rebound the ball like that, and you have that big man in the middle, for which I'm high on, as we're clearly talking about, and then you have the perimeter shooting, that can make you a heartbreaker for somebody's playoff team. Somebody is going to need to win a game. They're going to go up against the Pistons and not be ready, and they're going to lose that game. And that's what I'm telling you. They could play real heartbreaker for somebody in the Eastern Conference. I don't know who it is. I don't know to what degree. But there are teams in the Eastern Conference that can't afford to lose, and they're going to run into that team, and they're going to. And I'm telling you that right now. This team already beat the Sacramento Kings. They beat the OKC Thunder, 2 playoff teams. Rather good ones at that. And we'll see what they do against my Lakers tonight. But I'm telling you, if the season were to start over, I think the Pistons got a puncher's chance to get in the play-in tournament. If the season were to start today with what it is they have right now, with the influx of Fontecchio, with the influx of Troy Brown, who is underrated in this league as a defender and a three-point threat, with the acquisition of Quentin Grimes, of whom I've been big on the whole time, never lost any faith in him. The Knicks did, I didn't. With the acquisition of Shake Milton, who I think is a nice role player, didn't really play his best ball in Minnesota, but I likely believe he will play better in Detroit. With the acquisition of, there was a few other guys too, I can't think of their names. Obviously, Mike Muscala in the starting lineup right now, shooting the 3-ball. It's a few guys there who can now stretch the floor for them, and that's really all they were missing. And then you look at those young players that they got, and you can clearly see that the upside for those players is ridiculous. And so that's what I'm telling you all. When it really comes down to it, the Detroit Pistons are not the worst basketball team in the world, in the sense that if you look at their 4 tandem, and Cade Cunningham, of whom I've yet to mention, Ausar Thompson, of whom I've yet to mention, Ivy playing like basically an all-star, and Jalen Duren, who's playing basically like an all-star. If you come in against them and expect them to be the same team they were earlier in the season, you're probably going to lose. It doesn't mean they're a good team right now, but it does mean that they're much more acceptable of a basketball team sooner than anybody ever thought after the type of losing streak that they've had. They made good moves. And I don't think that losing Kevin Knotts, Alec Burks, Bogdanovich, who else did they lose? Bagley, Levers. I don't think any of that was bad for them, really. I mean, obviously, you'd love to have Bogdanovich within a situation where the team is good shooting the 3, but you have to give up something to get something good. And for me, the Evan Fournier piece, Evan Fournier can get back to being who he was in Orlando. He can get back to being who he was in Denver way back in the day. His role with the Pistons should, in theory, be light years more reasonable than what was offered to him in New York, which was damn near absolutely nothing. And so I look at him as a guy who's coming in with fresh legs. Father Time shouldn't have hit him that hard. He wasn't that damn old. He's only what? Probably like 33, 34. He should be just as formidable for the Pistons as Bogdanovich was for the Pistons. If you ask me, Fournier can do more there where he's needed for stretching the floor, specifically needed for stretching the floor. That's what he do. And so I really like that for them, in a sense that, yeah, that's a bad contract. But if there ever been a player who was needed more so than the place he was just acquired, I don't think so. I don't think so. When you consider how bad their spacing has ultimately been since drafting Ausar Thompson. And so for me, it's like, and then I double back to Quentin Grimes. It's like, yo, Quentin Grimes and Sasser, now you got someone who can light a fire under Sasser a bit more, because they played in college together. And I know how good Sasser is. I know. I'm not going to be surprised at all when Sasser becomes 6th man of the year. So long as he stays in that role, that's exactly where he's headed. And so for me, it's like, yo, too bad the season didn't start today for the Detroit Pistons, because I think they could win 30, 35 games, which ain't going to get you in the playoffs, but it will make you a formidable basketball team with the upside 2 or 3 years from now that can have you in the playoffs. So that's what I'm saying about Detroit. Yeah, they started off horrible as it gets, but the issues that they had are no longer the issues that they have, because they've improved so much upon what it is that they were weaknesses. Their weaknesses were their three-point shot. And getting Jalen Duren back adds a whole 20 boards to every game you're in. You go from not being a very good rebounding team to being very, very good rebounding the ball. Not to mention that Isaiah Levers in regular rotation was horrible. Alec Burks in regular rotation was more bad than good. Now you remove those players and you're bringing in the Fontecios, who we know can overplay that role that he's going to be asked to play. Just like he overplayed the role he had in Utah, he's going to overplay the role he had in Detroit. He's a better player than he's expected to be. Won't be any surprise to me. And he plays as well as he does, as he has been over the last 2 games. So I'm telling you, if any team is intriguing to me right now for next season, so long as they keep the pieces that they have and continue to add to it, maybe get one more lottery pick. I don't know how they would do it. Lord knows they would be great for winning the lottery this year if at all possible, so they can keep that pick, because I know it's highly protected from New York Knicks. Duren stay healthy, fingers crossed. We've seen players have injury issues for the first several years of their career, gain some conditioning resistance, and never go back to being injury prone again. Think Steph Curry's ankles. It's possible he could be that guy that never has another knee injury after this. If that were the case and he keeps playing the way he's playing, he could be Drummond all over again for the Pistons, man. That's Drummond all over again. So, if y'all follow me, I don't have any qualms about talking about any team. There are certain teams I don't talk about that I'm not interested in. It's not because, I don't think your guys are going to be interested in. I don't care about that. I care about what I'm interested in, and I'll talk about what I'm interested in. And Detroit has been the most intriguing team to me, not named LA Lakers, all season long, because of how bad they've been. And now I'm just as intrigued by them because how much they've turned it around in such a short amount of time as it pertains to the expectations for them winning a basketball game. They went from a team that I don't think can win any basketball games to a team that I think, like I said, they can win 30 games next year. Which, if you're the Lakers, that's a complete failure. But if you're a team that lost 27 in a row, that's a good measuring stick for going forward. So I'm excited about them and their future, so long as they can keep the spacing around those players. So long as they keep the shooters around them and the role players around them that allow those 4 or those 5 guys, if you add Sasser, to continue to grow. And that's what I'm saying to you guys. I think that good things can come from there. And one more thing before I go on in, is just, and we're going to go into a different team. I don't think what we're seeing from Jonathan Kuminga ever has to stop. I think he's going to be an all-star from here on out. His athleticism, his ball handling, his ability to more or less move in a direction that allows for him to be a rebounder, somebody who can score 25, 30, maybe even 40 points when he has a good game. I think that that's something that you could really think is a real thing. So long as he continues to be in a system that allows for him to be himself. The issue that I had with him with the Golden State Warriors since the beginning is I didn't think he was a Warriors guy. But he can redefine that the way he's playing right now. He looks like a Warriors guy because he's turning into a star in a Warriors uniform. So for me, I like what I see there. And I don't think it has to stop. So long as he stays healthy and Steve Kerr doesn't put the cuffs back on him with these minutes restrictions or whatever the heck Steve Kerr was doing, you continue to keep him in the starting lineup, feed him the ball as much as you have been, and you're going to continue to get that production consistently, I believe. I don't think he's a special athlete, so it's not like you expect for him to fall off or hit a rookie wall or anything like that. He's been in the league for like 4 or 5 years, and he's just getting the opportunity that he's supposed to be getting the whole time. So I like Jonathan Kuminga going forward for their team. I think there was a lot of teams that wish they would have bought low on him if at all possible. A year ago, 2 years ago, just like we said about Kobe White, when he was averaging 3 points a game, team should have went and got him. Now it's a little late for y'all. Now y'all got to pay double the price for a guy like Kuminga, and the Warriors may not even be willing to give him up, for which I wouldn't. So that's what I got to say. And that ain't the only one of the Warriors I think is very good, man. Podziemski's very good on that team. You know, there's a few other. Moses Moody is somebody that I really like on both sides of the floor. He can defend, he can shoot, he can lay the ball up. So they got some guys, man. You can't sleep on what it is they can do if they get a play-in tournament spot. We know Steph Curry can do a lot with a level, man. So that's pretty much what I got to say. BDL 44. Thank y'all for watching.